I read an article. I don't remember which publication did it. It's an old article. But it said the greatest concentration of morons are in government. You also need to understand at that point that those people are emotionally driven. And the immaturity of the high school social order makes more sense. Now, what happens when you have smart people dealing with a bunch of idiots? Well, the average intelligent person is going to have to stoop down to their level. A very intelligent person who has to deal with these idiots is going to find a carrot that they want and start dangling it in different directions. So from now on, keep that in mind and try and figure out if they're dangling a carrot or if they're just one of the idiots or they're just trying to be in the club. Now McCarthy has come in and he's greeted her very graciously. Smile, handshake, warmly. And he's, as far as his chair goes, and we'll make that the center line of where he stands, he's towards her. So he's trying to be in the group. Let's just assume that he's not a complete moron. And that kind of person is going to do things to try and be in the group of morons to try and lead where he wants them to be. Well, that was an interesting thing. It's like you don't see McConnell do much of anything. He's not greeting anyone. He's off on his own. I want to watch that again. We did see him greet someone off camera, but it's towards, I would assume, the Republican side. That's what I find kind of odd, considering all the conspiracies of, but I don't think he's a moron. I actually think at least of average intelligence. I was looking at the sides of the floors, you got the more conservative side versus the more Democratic side. And it would seem that, at least as far as my eyes see, there is less movement on the conservative side and more movement as far as body movement on the Democrat side. You see them crooning their necks, looking active, whereas the more conservative side is they're looking, but it's much more subtle. And now we see McCarthy standing very close to Harris. So he's in her space. Oh, the 80s are back. I was sitting there, I was looking at Harris because of how McCarthy has invaded her space. She's not really moving away from him. I'd be curious if he actually moved to the other side of his chair, if she would actually be drawn to his side, if he would have that kind of draw to her. But I doubt he's going to do it. Yeah, he's very uncomfortable up there. Very uncomfortable. And you have to really think about this in the high school arena. To not have conversation with anyone or be interacting with anyone means you're ostracized. Think about it. Think about high school. Loners were not celebrated. They were picked on. They were not respected. So you take that same mentality into this arena. Being a loner, not a great thing. They have to run around in packs. I'm going to smile like an idiot. Oh, so smiling. really don't know who these people are up in the balcony, right above where the clock and stuff is. But I was sitting here watching them, and they're not really interested about what's going down on the floor. They're not really interested in even interacting with each other. So I'm going to assume they're part of the press from the high school perspective. The press would be equal to the enforcement arm, the teachers, the principal. I sit there, watch their interactions right there, and he gets so close to her that he, touches her with his arm, and she's not moving away. She's very guarded with her arms crossed. I think she's uncomfortable in the entire situation to begin with. See, I don't think she's extremely stupid. I'd have to at least give her average. And yes, I know what her speeches sound like. It's time, the time that we had, the time that was, which at times, I swear, yes, as a pun, that someone else is writing those speeches and they were a quota hire. And she doesn't know how to get out of it. How do I hire a good speech writer? Yeah, I see McConnell. He had his hands on the chair. He was like looking for something. I'm going to assume someone. And you got this crowd. Remember the high school thought. Hormones are coming through. That's the other thing you've got to think about when these people are in here. Everybody is smelling everyone else's pheromones. You're going to sense, as they say, that you sense the excitement in the crowd. You get a whiff of it and you start looking around like, what do you need to be paying attention to? Then you become active, even if you are super intelligence, because, well, you're an animal. But then he controls himself, puts his hands in his pocket, and goes back to his isolation. Ah, that's what I was waiting for. So he leaned away a little bit, and she instantly leans toward him to bring up some comment, whatever she saw that would be a comment to him. He immediately goes back to her. And then you see that shift in weight. She shifts toward him. So this is a mutual thing. He has given the most ground towards her. Hopefully that will not be the future bills that are passed of how much ground he gives. But she wants to come to him too. So he did move away at that moment. And she did watch him from the corner of her eye. She didn't want to go over there. She didn't want to make that body language cue that she wanted to go over there too. She stayed and then found someone else to distract her with. Sounds like a better negotiator. Maybe not a very strong one, though. Obviously, she's got a quota higher for a speechwriter.
The senator from New York, Mr. Schumer. The senator from Illinois, Mr. Durbin. The senator from Washington, Ms. Murray. The senator from Michigan, Ms. Stapadow. The senator from Minnesota, Ms. Klobuchar. The senator from Wisconsin, Ms. Baldwin. There she is.
So you got General Milley there, and right next to him is the smiling buffoon. He smiles at everything. It could be buttered toast, he's smiling at it. He's the most excited to be there. The other generals are kind of like, oh, that's nice. This is great. Okay, when can I go home? But not that buffoon. It's buttered toast. Yay!
Mr. Speaker, the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court.
Oh, that was kind of interesting. So they come down. Roberts is there, and he's leading the pack. Kavanaugh comes by, and Roberts really wants to make eye contact to him. And Kavanaugh, I don't think it was rudeness. I think he genuinely just didn't hear him speak or notice that he was trying to communicate a smile towards him. Just more of a, oh, we're here. Because he seems like a nervous buffoon anyways. He's always smiling. Oh, I don't dislike everyone who smiles uncharacteristically. But when you make decisions like this all the time, and you're a smiler, it just adds to the I don't like you. And it looks like Clarence decided to sit this one out. I don't blame him. I think he's been sitting him out now for a while, hasn't he? I tell you what, Kavanaugh's smile, it's like a sneer. It's not up in the face. The eyes are kind of crinkled. But it's like his teeth are showing. He's just, Arr. It's like disco night. I guess she's a plump. I just they got a thing about kissing people on the mouth. It's like, ugh. You ain't family. Even family is like, I keep waiting for him to wipe his mouth. But he keeps motioning his lips like he's not trying to taste that shit.
Mr. Speaker, the President's Cabinet.
Oh, I like that look. I'm not going to point out who did it, but ooh, I like that look. That was a sly, I don't trust you. See if you can figure out who it was.
The President of the United States.
I saw that interaction, you really don't need much of a commentary of who's shaking who's happy to see who, blah, 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 blah. I just found it very interesting that they were all very nice to Biden. But then you have to think, why would you sit there and beat up the puppet? It's not the puppet's fault.
It's a puppet.
You know, one of these days, she's going to get in trouble for impersonating James Brown. It's just not right.
Hello, hello, hello. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and the distinct honor to present to you the President of the United States.
Finally, the guy who likes to smile at buttered toast isn't smiling as buttered toast. They've gone down to their reserved status. It is tradition that the military and the Supreme Court justices do not show favoritism to any one person or party. All right, we'll come back and do the rest of this because it's going to be long. Part 2's on its way. If you like it, please share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
If you'd like to learn more about analysing body language, there is a video course available on Mandy's website for Gold subscribers.